Hello, everyone. I'm Marty Chinesky, and along with my good friend Ken Montre, we're your hosts of the local sports wrap-up here on Wyandotte Cable. Today is August 10th, 2019. We have a special guest today. But Ken, let's start out as we always do. How was your week?
Pretty good. I'm going to get 4 Lions season tickets after that game. I am so inspired by watching that I feel compelled. I should be able to get some good seats, too.
I won't argue that.
I think you should get 40 and take all his friends.
Wasn't that pretty
that was pretty bad.
Tough to watch?
It was. I watched about 20 minutes. And I'm sorry, game one, there's 2 ways to look at it. You either, it's preseason, doesn't matter, or, oh my gosh, we're in trouble.
One thing that gets me in during preseason is why we punt. He's a punter. Okay, I understand they block for the punter and so on and so forth. And why they want to kick a field goal to avoid a shutout. It just boggles my mind, truly.
Well, you've never been a big Lions fan yourself.
No, so my mind hasn't had to get too boggled.
Let's not get sidetracked here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Let's introduce our special guest today. Her name is Judy Sadler. She is a co-proprietor. Is that a good word?
Yes.
Co-proprietor of Biddle Bowl, where my kids learn to bowl. We live in that area of Wyandotte. And,
what area is it?
North End.
North End.
Biddle.
That would be by Goddard? In the area of St. John's? Goddard,
Yep,
somewhere around
St.
there?
John's. I live behind Biddle Bowl, across the tracks.
Oh.
No, but nobody, can't be telling everybody that, Ken, where I live.
I didn't tell him. You did.
So, Judy, welcome to our show. It's great to have you as a guest. We enjoy people's company. I guess it's always best to start at the beginning. So let's start at the beginning. How did you become involved in Biddle Bowl? Take it from there.
Okay. Well, my grandfather, Fred Walkers, purchased what was Biddle Recreation in 1948, which is actually the year I was born, so I've been there for forever.
Oh, it was a gift for you, huh?
Yes, it was a gift for me, right. Lifelong employment. So,
Wish I'd have got one of those.
And back in the day, most of the centers were small. We're an 8-lane center. There was never any room for growth because we were right next to houses and small businesses. Right behind us was a toy factory. And my father, who at 19 at that time, worked part-time along with my grandfather to kind of help the business grow. And he was raising a family of 6 kids, and he had a full-time job elsewhere, but then also kind of helped with the bowling business.
Can I ask you, why Wyandotte? Were you born and raised here?
No, actually my grandfather worked in the manufacturing business, but he always wanted to own his own business.
Because at that time, bowling was quite a dominant sport.
Right,
very
and it
popular.
was starting to get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Right.
And he was looking for a business that he could purchase and get involved in. He liked bowling. He wasn't an all-star bowler by any means. He did bowl in a couple of leagues, with a few relatives, and he just thought that would be an interesting type of a business to get into and to learn. And my grandparents lived out by Belle Isle and would take the bus back and forth, to work. Even my grandmother at 2 o'clock in the morning would be taking the bus home to the Belle Isle area to go home.
Whoa.
Back when we had a very good bus system.
Yes, you
Right,
you didn't
2
have
o'clock
to
in
wait
the
for
morning.
2 or 3 hours, right?
I can see the bus driver going, hey, I'm going to pick this people up here. Wonder how many's on the bus tonight. Nice. Nice.
So you got started at a very young age, had a bowling ball in your hand at a very young age.
Oh, probably 5 years old, correct.
That's a good start. So you've seen quite a bit. You obviously hung out there. You were probably there a lot.
Right.
I mean, school, obviously, during the day. In the evenings, did you spend your time there as a youth, or were you at home?
No, not in the evening. Basically, Saturday mornings. Then as I got older, as a teenager, I would go and help my grandfather out a little bit, just some cleaning and just that kind of stuff, and
Absolutely.
maybe helping with some other kids
Earn
that
your
would come
keep.
in the place, right? And bowled in the youth league that we had on a Saturday morning, and did that for many years, and then became a coach later on.
We were both youth league participants, me and Ken. And we started at Riverview Rec down the street.
Right.
Sorry, competition. But back then, there was enough to go around.
Yes, there was.
There was enough to
There
go
was
around.
about 15 different small centers, you know, starting at Oakwood Blue Jackets and working your way down Melvindale, Riverview, Wyandotte, Lincoln Park.
Fort Park, and
Shorties?
Leon's? Or
Leon's, Shorties. I thought it was called Shorties, but sure, maybe
All
Shorty,
right there in
maybe
5-block
Shorty
section.
owned it. Maybe it was Leon.
It was a 5-block
Leone's.
section of 3 bowling centers right there. You know, we had Fort Park. You know, when I lived in Lincoln Park, we used to walk down the street and bowl in whichever one we
Not
could.
counting Thunderbolt.
Right, Thunderbolt was a little later.
A little
but
later.
About
Right.
the 60s, I
You
think.
could take all of our small centers and put them into Thunderbolt.
Yes, you could. And now, as we started, the changes in the industry are immense. So I could start with just the bowling ball alone. You had a rubber bowling ball with 3 holes in it. End of story. That was it.
That ball lasted you for 50 years. You
Yes.
didn't have to get another one.
Correct.
Now you guys get one every 6 months.
Not this guy, but yes, there's guys that have. When I worked at the place that drilled bowling balls, there were guys that had files this thick for buying a ball every 4 weeks or whatever. Newest thing on the market. So besides the bowling ball, that now first it was rubber, then it was plastic, now they're synthetic. Other changes that you've seen personally evolve. It's an evolution, obviously.
Right. Well, certainly for us at the time when we first got into it and you had the automatic pin setters, they weren't
didn't
there
have pin
yet. We
jumpers?
just had the pin jumpers.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And then in '72, when my father took over, because it was a time for my grandfather to look into retiring, and there really wasn't anybody who was willing to give my grandfather the money that he needed to retire. It was, you know, a $1 down, $1 a week proposition. So my dad thought, well, this wasn't what I wanted to do the rest of my life. He had a full-time job. But he said he'll do it so that his father could retire. But he also knew that he was going to have to put in the automatics, also have to put in new lanes. There's still, you know, the wood lanes. Very few places have wood lanes
Very
anymore,
few.
and it is a challenge to those who are just always bowling on synthetic lanes and have synthetic equipment. But we certainly have our share of 200 average bowlers in our place because they know how, you know, to bowl under the conditions that they have.
So whenever you've kept the wooden alleys, what year do you think you switch it over to the automated?
We probably would have one more cut into our wood, but I don't see that probably happening. I would say within the next 4 years we would probably have to go to synthetic.
And to talk about your dad, 90.
He'll be 91 this coming year.
91, and he's still there.
Yes,
Okay,
he is.
so
He's a
he bought
character.
the
I love
place, and he took over for his dad in '72. And Bob is still there helping out, and he's a wonderful human being. I love chatting him up.
Quite the character.
And Ken had the opportunity to chat him up about a week or 2 ago, and he was in there. And yes, absolutely, the guy has probably has stories to tell. You know, the changes in the industry. I know it used to be 2 leagues a night. You'd have a 6 o'clock and a 9 o'clock or 9:30.
Boy, that's when they were
And all
hopping.
day and all night, Saturday and Sunday.
Wow.
All
Right.
day, yeah. And then now, I mean, obviously the game is dwindled. I don't know if dwindled's a good word.
Lot more things for kids to do.
Well, adults too.
Right, and the
Well,
commitment
adults too,
there,
correct.
you know, with bowling, kind of like golf. Golf has its season, you know, in the winter, you starve. Bowling has its season, and in the summer, nobody wants to come in. We all want to be outside. You know, we all realize that.
But I think as a small building, you have an advantage over like a Thunderbolt who's got to start their air conditioner at 2:30 in the
Correct.
morning. You actually can cool your place up rather
Right.
quickly.
And the thing is, with being the owners, we can be in there doing other things. So we can be open and we don't have a high overhead. If no one comes in, we're still productively doing something. Where your large centers are having to pay somebody separate to be at the counter,
you're saying
somebody
you don't
separate
pay
to
your
be the
father?
bartender. No, well, unfortunately, yes, he still is. But you know, he'll tell you that he works for food. So we
okay.
come in every day and we supply him with his lunch and dinner to take
know, the
home.
next
And that's
time-
what keeps him going. If it's going to be 91, we must be doing something
The next
right.
time I go in there, I'm going to bring him a little bag of food.
All right,
and
he'll
say,
love
here,
that.
Bob, I hear you work for food. Can you wash my car?
And he just might do that for you. It keeps him going. Gives him a purpose.
If you help him hook up the hose outside,
Absolutely.
be all set.
Now, pin jumpers. When we mentioned that you went to automation from the pin jumpers, did they call them pin jumpers because they threw the ball so hard? Those pins were so heavy, the pins would jump and they'd have to get out of the way?
Yeah, it was probably a pretty hazardous job for the kids
Oh,
back then. Because
I
I was
bet.
telling Marty, I said, I don't even know if we could afford what workman's comp would be on these kids in today's world.
You ain't kidding.
The insurance alone would shut you down.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's yeah, that's the way that society.
So when did you get computerized, approximately?
I believe that was around 1990, 89 or
1990?
90, right. And and it's funny because when we first had the system put in, the installers told us, you're going to have your purists that are going to be so mad at you for putting this in.
Oh,
And
really?
yet, the first day that there's a glitch and something goes wrong, they're the first ones that are going to be furious with you.
That is correct. What you do is you just hand them the sheet and says, go back to the old way.
Right.
Right?
And there have been times over the years, when there is a glitch of some kind, but you can still operate. And so we do keep, the paper score pads. And
Oh,
there are
I'll
some
tell you
people
what,
that
you'll
have a
have-
lot of fun and a lot of nostalgia with that.
You'll have a problem today telling people, what? What's a strike?
Right.
2 strikes, and then what? The first ball counts as what?
You know,
People don't know how to keep score anymore.
my kids learned their math keeping score.
Absolutely.
Oh,
we
yeah.
When
did
they
too.
were 5 and 6 years old, and they would, bring their schoolwork home and be having a problem, and I'd say, pretend those are bowling pins. Pretend this is you're adding this, you're subtracting that, and then that clicked.
That's how I got so good with nines, because I'm getting 9 all the time. I could add 9 and 19s and 29s, and yeah, I could add those up really quick. Cause
When Marty and I skipped school, we said we was at math class.
Yeah, right, okay. And somebody believed that story, right?
Only us and the proprietor.
That's right. The yeah. So what I try to do, even coaching the girls now in high school, is I give them a little test piece of paper and explain to them how scorekeeping works, because they need to know the importance
Absolutely.
of pin
Right.
count on a spare. 3 spare is not as good as 8 on a spare.
Right.
So we try to explain to them, and I have this little thing that I copy, and I don't know if I did it last year. It was the first year I didn't make them learn how to keep score, because I want them to know if they strike out what they get. If they spare out and get 20s or 19s out, your game is never over. You could be in the 7th frame, but a 5-bagger fixes a lot of problems.
Marty, we were taught by our teacher, Steve Morris. Did you have the pleasure of knowing Mr. Morris?
No, I didn't.
Okay. Mr.
Because
Morris.
he was a Riverview rec rat.
Right, he was, absolutely was. But Steve would always have us in our head know what our score was. I did not need to look on that sheet, although I would to make sure they had it right. But I knew in my head all the time, going through all the frames, what my score was. I'd look up to make sure it's right, or I'd look there to make sure it's right. But we knew in our head. So that really did help us, that concept.
I've often told people, too, that, you win or lose, you always say by the anchor person what they got.
Oh,
But
no.
I always say, no, that
No,
isn't where it
no.
happened. You go back and look at the score. 3 pins on a spare, 2 pins on a spare, 3 pins on a double. That's what
Yes,
lost that game
that is
for you.
correct.
It's not your anchor not turkeying out.
I'm an anchor man. I've been an anchor man since I got out of high school. This guy threw me down there, the old guys that I was bowling with. And my theory is, anchormen never lose games. They only win them. You can find that loss somewhere else,
Right,
okay?
right.
Ken,
He started that right out of high school.
that's
too.
right. Ken missed a 5-pin in the 5th frame. Well,
Yeah, I agree.
That's why
an
we
easy-
lost.
That's an easy
Wasn't
pin.
Right.
because I didn't double, okay?
Right.
Just
Right.
saying.
Right.
I can only.
We can always pass the buck.
That's right. That's right. I'll
That's
try
why
it
we used
every
to go
while.
over our sheets all the time, too, to look for errors in scorekeeping. Remember the cellophane? Did you have the cellophane?
Oh, yes.
Right, so we go back over that and see, make sure everything, the additions was right.
You had
So, yeah,
to, because
you
if
had
you
to.
lost by a couple pins, that mistake could be anywhere. And that was the one thing now with the computers, you don't get the mistakes. They
Oh,
do,
not as
well,
often.
that's true, but I mean, they do not scan the pins. Ball bounces out of the gutter, we got to fix it. There are things we have to correct with the computer system too. You have to pay attention. you get 8 down, it only shows 7. That happens every now and then, because they're rangefinders. Is that how it works, rangefinders?
Or the pin falls after the camera took the picture.
True.
That kind of thing.
Yes, that kind of thing. So let's.
Right, we had the telescores back, I think when we put in the automatics, that's when we started getting, had the telescores put in. I think we got those like around 1976. So we had those for about 16 years before we got the true automatics.
We graduated high school.
No, that's right, because I remember being with using paper in men's league, and then all of a sudden, poof.
Bam.
Right. The leagues use the telescores, but for open bowling, we use the paper.
Right.
What I always liked about the telescores is if you had a bad frame, you could take that little squiggle line and, mark it down to stop that bad frame. So now you're going. You can't put stoppers in the automatics.
You remember the stopper. If you color that thing in, it'd be super thick, and then away you'd go.
We're dating ourselves here.
I know. That's all right. We're old. I admit it. So, now the game. Let's talk how your leagues, your center. You have a really solid fan base or bowler base in
Very
that
dedicated.
house. They are, but you always need more. Everybody needs more. So you have a nice solid group that bowl a couple nights a week. You've got your mixed leagues, your senior leagues in the afternoon, which I said I'll be in pretty soon. She doesn't think so.
Pretty soon. You're in a senior league. You don't even know it.
Yeah, well, I'm in a Wednesday night senior league already, so yay me. But as soon as I don't have to work anymore, I may spend some time in the daytime bowling.
When's that going to be?
I got a kid in college. It'll be a few years.
It's going to be a minute.
Yeah, it'll be a few more years before I
his
can
wife
do
likes to
anything.
take vacations and stuff too, So you got to work to have that kind of fun.
Right. I'm the first to say we take great vacations. I work hard to play hard. That's how it works.
Right.
Yep, we all know. Ken knows too.
How does it look for the future of your bowling alley?
Well, we're lucky insofar as Marty was saying, we've had a good fan base. We have 4th and 5th generation, people that bowl at our place. And that's really our strong point that has kept us going. Of course, the bowling industry as a whole, you can certainly tell by all the centers that have closed up in the last 10 years, has gotten a little bit rougher. I really think more because of the commitment. Everybody would love to see 18, 20-week leagues, but as a proprietor, you don't survive. You don't survive on that. And and of course, in your larger centers, they have kitchens, and they have game rooms, and they have a lot of other things to generate in the pro shops and everything to generate a lot of outside business, which we don't have in a small place. We never had any room to expand or anything, so we just have to make do with what we have and hope that being that personable place that everybody knows who you are and greets you when you come in is going to make you feel good, after you left, whether you did any good or not.
How about the kids? You have children that's going to take over after you decide it's time, or grandchildren? Not that you're there yet.
No, I have 2 children who are very active bowlers. My brother, who is my partner, my brother and I purchased the business from our father 19 years ago. His children have never, other than an occasional bowling, but they were never, league bowlers. So I don't believe that it would pass on to a 4th generation, unfortunately. So I got to work as long as my dad is. And he told me yesterday he's going to be around another 10 years. So then I got to work another 20 years after that. So we're still hanging in.
Bob and my daughter share the same birthday.
They do.
March 27th,
Yep.
A couple of years apart, though.
Just a couple.
What would that be? It'd be 72, 71.
So can I bring in, and I've done this before in other bowling alleys, but only because I'm a character, they allow this. But I could hypothetically speak, because I got off work, got my bowling balls, went to the bowling alley, and dang, there's no food. But on the way, I picked up a pizza and bring it in. Is that a problem?
No, like all centers, you have a sign on your door, no outside, food or drink.
Right.
But because we don't have a kitchen, we do have, minor microwave stuff. We have no problem with somebody having their pizza brought in.
That's how they feed Bob with the microwave.
That's right.
Now
the big thing, of course, is the beverages. You don't want people bringing in their outside alcohol.
That's funny. I forgot all about that. When we used to bowl at Riverview Rec, they would have that light bulb that would heat up a Subway sandwich or some kind of a
Out of a
sandwich.
vending machine or no? That's just a regular. You're right, though. They would throw it in.
They would throw it in.
Microwaves weren't really popular then.
No.
We are dating ourselves.
Yeah, we're getting
now.
older and older as we sit here. You realize that.
That's right. But yeah, the health department is the main reason you can't bring food in. I
Right.
mean, that's what the whole thing. So
Right.
they don't bring any food at Biddle Bowl. No one ever does. Just so you know that. But it's a great place to hang out. I bowled a Wednesday night league there. I only bowled 1 year because I have a real early Thursday meeting for my business at 7 a.m. every week.
Oh, because there's a bar in a bowling alley?
Yeah, not that I condone that type of activity, but there is a bar in the bowling alley.
But he
That'd
told
be
you how
frustrating.
close he is. He can walk
I
home.
could walk home, correct. I could walk home right
Not with his
down the
bowling
street.
balls.
So, it was a great Wednesday night league. You got eight teams. It was camaraderie. It was like family. Once you got in there, you saw the same people every week. After, 10 weeks, I was everybody's friend. You know what I mean? They all say hi to me now when I run into them. And I only bowled 1 year there. Now, I was there every Saturday morning with my kids in the kids' league, every Saturday I could get to, helping not only my kids bowl, but I was helping, and Judy's a great coach. I'll say this right now. The kids that get in there, they turn into bowlers. She's not going to tolerate you dumping the ball in the gutter, even at 5, 6, 7 years old, every shot. She's going out on the lane, I've seen it, and teach that kid how to release the ball. And I will say that I did the same thing, and I've got, one of the girls bowling now, Summer. Summer was, when Julia and Nick were bowling, Summer was only 5 or 6, and I didn't see her for about 4 or 5 years, and now she's going to be 10th grader, and she's already on the varsity team, barring something crazy
How does
happening.
Summer come into this? Is she related to you?
No, she was
No,
just
just
bowling
their
the kids'
family
league.
all
That's
bowled.
the house she was bowling at?
Yes.
Oh.
And we
Yeah.
bowled there because
Nice
it was
job.
down the street. Nothing against the house on the south end of, Indian Lanes. They'll teach you how to bowl there too. We don't want to favor one place or the other.
Larger proprietor.
Yeah, but all the kids that are at Biddle, it's territorial. They're all North Enders. They come down and they bowl in the mornings on a Saturday, and then I was in there teaching them how to bowl. Now we'd love to get the middle school involved, and that's one of our goals, is to get the middle school involved and get some kids, because our varsity boys team has lost 3 kids. We're going to be scrambling to fill that
we
team.
are.
And I've got to make announcements at orientation. I've got to do a lot of things. So the participation, though it's been on a decline, has it held steady enough? I mean,
I guess, well, and of course, you're talking about participation. One thing with the USBC and recognizing the high school bowling as a sport now, how that started, a few years ago, and all the scholarship programs and everything has been awesome, and really put bowling on the forefront for a whole new, batch. It used to be the kids, they bowled with their parents. Once they got out of the youth leagues, they would bowl in some mixed leagues with their parents, and then as they got older, then of course on their own. But now they're doing real competitive stuff all through school, and then on through college, getting scholarships there. So that's been a real good change in the industry there.
Get the kids involved early. And I know you've had a youth adult league in the summer. Did that still go this summer, where you had?
No, we really only had a men's league, a mixed league, a women's league, a senior league, and then we do a lot of different events, 9-pin pizza bowls and tournaments, things like that.
I wanted to talk about your fundraising.
Yes.
It almost slipped. You
glad
are huge fundraisers for a few different groups. Why don't you get us started on that?
Yes.
Our main thing we started, it's probably been about 12 years ago, we thought, what would be a good fundraising effort that we could do that would be our signature? And we chose the Wyandotte Goodfellows, because we felt that that was going to help the people in our area.
Local.
The Wyandotte Goodfellows are great they have a very, very good reputation. Everything stays right here. They help everybody real well. A lot of volunteer work. If you give them $1,000, there isn't 900 that's going to, in somebody's
Salaries.
pocket, and
Right.
salaries and all
'Cause
this kind of
by law,
stuff.
13%. Those that don't know that, by law, 13% is all that has to go to the charity
Yeah.
itself.
And that's terrible when you read all those statistics.
Oh.
So we started just doing just some little small events at our center. And I think the first year we raised $900 and we presented that to the Goodfellows at the council meeting the beginning of December. And we just did like little things, little 50-50s throughout the year. And then about 6 years ago, we thought, well, let's have a one-day fundraiser, Christmas in July. Well, that first Christmas in July, that one day, we raised $1,500.
Nice.
Well, the one we had 2 weeks ago, we raised $2,600. But last December, we gave the Goodfellows $7,000.
7,000
Every year, and this is what we
Wyandottes?
collect all year long. And we have the same customers day in and day out. But that is how supportive they have come on board with this project. So then we knew that we picked the right thing to do.
Absolutely you
And we have had people come up to us and say, you know, I remember when I was a kid, the Goodfellows come into our door with a basket of food, with toys for the family, and they'll do real well on their own. So they'll give us separate, donations for that. So it just has boggled our mind how every year it just keeps jumping.
Five figures. Pretty soon you'll be
I
handing
don't
them a
know.
five-figure check.
Have you seen those boxes that they give out? And we used to help them for the county when I was working with the
Yeah.
county. And we would give them out to boys, 5 years old, girls,
Mm-hmm.
5 years old. I'll tell you what, they give them a wonderful package. Absolutely wonderful.
I know they do distribute out at the
So that's-
Copeland Center, and we haven't been able to go there when they're actually doing the distributing. We're hoping that this year we can, work it out so that we can be there when they do that. But
That's
As we wrap up, and unfortunately we have to wrap up, one more thing, the Biddle Bowl runs a monthly tournament. They run a monthly handicap tournament every month, and then they have a tournament of champions for everybody the top 8. They fill the house, 32, sometimes 40 bowlers, 40, sometimes there's 6 on a lane.
nice.
It's a handicap tournament. It really helps Marty out a lot. And but they run a tournament every month, and then they run an end of the year tournament of champions.
that's going on this next 2 weekends.
Oh, okay. Next 2 weekends, and then you're the overall champ. Your name gets put on a plaque that's in there hanging, and I know the guy that supplied the plaque. You can enter those. Anyone can enter those. I forget the weekly fee.
$20.
$20 to enter a tournament. You bowl 3 games. They take the top 8, and you bowl step ladder bracket roll-offs.
Right.
And you're looking right at the people you're bowling. That's the sweetest
Well,
part.
it's a small house.
Right.
Couple of announcements. Junior League World Series is starting today. It's August 10th. 2 things. Don't forget to look us up on YouTube, and we now have an email address.
Email?
We have an email
Nice.
address, localsportswrapup@gmail.com. Okay, so
Send your
just
complaints.
Send your complaints. If
Send
you
your
want to
suggestions.
if you want to be on this show,
Wanna
get
be
a
on
hold
this
of
show?
us. Get a hold of us. We'll think about it. Okay. I got to run it through the committee, though. Me and Ken, we got to run it through the committee. So Little League World Series, 8 o'clock tonight, opening ceremonies. It's running for about 2 weeks. Go on down to we're down.
Taylor on Wick.
Yeah. It's
Those fields on Wick Road and Taylor.
right. The Goddard and by the old ice rink. They're playing ball there. They play all 2 weeks. You got teams from everywhere. China, Mexico. You got teams staying everywhere downriver. It's like $5 to get in, and you can watch some good baseball. A lot of my old umpire buddies have the gig there. They do a lot of umping. Tigers, John Schreiber from Gibraltar Carlson, graduated in 2012. Pitched last night for the Detroit Tigers.
Wonderful.
He got in the 9th inning. I'm not sure the details you were watching, Judy.
Well, unfortunately, he did give up a home run to start out. Then
Oh, he fits right in there.
right. He got 2 outs, gave up a couple more hits, and then they pulled him. But like I said, I would have hated to be his mother in the stands. I told you
my
earlier,
goodness.
I thought that poor woman was going to have a heart attack. But you know how proud they have to be.
absolutely.
How proud they have to be.
So
Gave
It's
him
like
a
those
start.
first steps when a kid falls over.
Judy,
Right.
well,
You're
thank you
glad
for
he's
being
walking
here.
now.
Well, thank you
Hope
for
we
having
weren't-
me.
Yeah, I hope we
I'm
were.
glad I left Escanaba
Oh,
to come here and
we-
sit with you guys.
Loved having you on, Judy. We'd like to have your
Local
dad on
sports
one time.
wrap
Okay.
up. See us next week. Hi, Mom. And again, YouTube and local sports wrap up at Gmail.
Give us your comments.
Give us your comments.